What did Tennessee? Well, the same thing that Arkansas. What's going on, YouTube? It's a Tuesday. It's our lunch break. We're recording our weekly vendor flip. These bad boys flip every single Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, starting with the Apocrypha one here with our archival fortunes. Important to note, this is a free-to-play area. That's going to be actually really relevant in our first lead, which is the Petrified Oak Loop, because I'm trying to always think of new ways to attack if a lead is good or not for you. Firstly, this is the Oaken Soul Ring. It's the standard, best in slot, kind of easy to use Mythic, easy to pilot, easy to get some damage, best for solo builds, so people love it for PvP and PvE. It's a bit divisive. Set that to the side. The location inside of Murkmire is interesting. So it's safe boxes and thieves troves in Murkmire, which is really annoying. But what I wanted to draw your attention to is that, interestingly, this is the only actual one that drops from an area that's a DLC area outside of High Isle. So if you own the High Isle chapter, but you didn't own the Murkmire chapter, it's also the only one that you wouldn't be able to get. Meaning that if you purchase this for 5,000 archival fortunes, you're saving yourself from having to farm annoying thieves troves, which is ridiculously annoying. And you don't have to then go and purchase the Murkmire DLC, and you would just need to have the High Isle expansion to utilize this. So wanted to point that out because there's quite a few people who purchase, versions of ESO that have the chapters included, and they don't have ESO plus. So if you like little breakdowns like that, I'll keep adding those in because I was just thinking about that when I was looking at the lead. But this is a great lead if you're a brand new player and you want to go and get the Oaken Soul lead. This is a very annoying one to get, and then you're already a fifth of the way there on getting one of the best mythics in the game. Next up is a really annoying one because it comes from the Apocrypha jewelry station, but it comes from the Infinite Archive. So if you've been farming the Infinite Archive, you probably already have this lead. It's like the chicken and the egg. But you can see there's a lot of the pieces that come, unfortunately, from the exact same place. So if you're interested, this is what it looks like. Unfortunately, it's a little bit of a zoomed out picture. But this is how it will actually look if you were interested in getting the actual jewelry station. Jewelry stations are super cheap to get. If you're a brand new player, they're not actually that hard to get copies that you could put inside your actual home. A lot of people are confused by that, but you can literally find people selling them and go to Mournhold, like what, 30 to 100,000 gold. It's probably the price fluctuation to get a jewelry station for your own home, so you don't have to go and do these leads to get one. If you are trying to farm it, you're just going to get it naturally more than likely anyway. So it's an easy skip. Next up is a very valuable mask. You can see I'm modeling it here for you. It's got the spooky theme to it. You can use it to impress all the gothic baddies inside of Riften. And it's actually one that's pretty valuable too, because it's not been out for a while. I actually farmed this on stream with the boys. And we would sell them, I think, for like 1 to 2 million on console. And that was when they were actively farmable. So this is one that I definitely would encourage you to think this could be a good one to purchase. So if you were to purchase it, how does it work? Well, you get it, but you then have to use it. You can't trade it to any other players, but it is a pretty valuable one to own. So valuable, you can see I didn't even bind it to my collection. I was just selling them. And when it does come back, it comes from Unhallowed Grave, which is not known for being necessarily easy or difficult. It's kind of in the middle of the road for DLC dungeons. So it'll probably still retain a decent amount of value, but I think if you're looking for some spooky outfit themes, it's a great mask to get. Then we have our consumable furnishing items. We have this gigantic cask. I don't even know what a cask is. Somebody will tell me in the comments below. Is it a huge vase? I don't know why. I don't know. And then we have, hang on, I'm literally blocking. We have this diffuser. 10,000 archival fortunes is an investment, but it is a golden item. But the resale value, I'm gonna be honest, very very specific on who's gonna buy this. And then we have a teeny tiny little eensy beensy little vial. I wouldn't necessarily encourage you guys to get this vial because you can get like vial stacks, because these will all count as individual vials, versus if you got an item that has a stack of vials, then you can place them and be a little bit more saving on your total furnishing slots. But if you like it, it's fine. Glenumbra treasure maps are an easy skip. However, companion gear, heavy equipment is one of the best ones to roll for, in my opinion. You have some great options: reduce cooldowns, increase max health, reduce max damage taken. All great options for you to get. This is one of the ones that's more profitable to roll on because normally those pieces are very expensive. So I would definitely encourage you guys to consider if you wanted to get these bad boys. Next up, we literally have a book that's like half destroyed, but it's still the same price as this other one, which is actually the whole book. So I don't know if that seems reasonable to me. I feel like that one needs to be on discount sauce. Next up, we have our scripts, which as the game progresses further and further into the future, I feel like become worse and worse value. Intellect and Endurance is a great script to have. Poison Damage is great script. Knight's Valor is fine to have. But Archival Fortunes are a premium currency. If you're doing daily quests and you're playing the game, you probably already have all these bad boys. And if you don't, just wait for the Scholarium, which is the next vendor we reviewed, to have them. I wouldn't encourage you guys to buy these, even though I've talked about how much I love Intellect and Endurance and Poison Damage. Next up is also interesting because it's an Unbound Fragment. Now, Unbound Fragments are interesting because then you can literally go purchase them and then resell them, which is what I assume these people are doing right here. It doesn't really give you anything cool, it just gives you access to a pet. So I'm surprised that the fragments sell. But I do just want to point out how many pages we have down here of listings. So before you're like, oh my God, Jake, if I can convert 1,000 Archival Fortunes to 10,000 gold, that means that if I had 10,000 gold or 10,000, Archival Fortunes, I could have 100,000 gold. I'd be like, woo, 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 woo. Like, let's pump the brakes there. That's assuming you're going to sell all of those bad boys. But if you play on PlayStation or you play on Xbox, where people don't monitor the market as much, maybe you could get away with that, but I would just caution you against that line of thinking. And the Fragment of Aggression literally comes from a delve boss. So don't go and do that. Ooh, woo, woo. We're going off the screen here. I don't know how I did that. It comes from that delve boss though. And then we finish off Archival Fortunes with the Unreliable Archive map, which is a stupid looking Shattered Mirror Maze marks. We've talked about it 1,000 times. Don't get it. Next up, we're inside the Scholarium, which is inside of Ivea. Now, this part is actually a little bit more straightforward. You talk to the Chronicler here, and then you can buy these with gold. So Force, Uncertainty, Immobilization, Class Mastery, that one is static, and Wayfarer's Mastery. Those ones are pretty good to get. Force is a pretty good one to have, especially if you do solo content. I think Force is great to give to yourself. Uncertainty, not super helpful. Giving the ability, making your enemies a little bit weaker in that sense is usually not very helpful. Immobilize, though, that's pretty good. I think PvP is probably where you're going to see that used more often. I don't think support classes are running the Immobilize script, maybe, but even still, I would still grab it. And then Wayfarer's Mastery is certainly decent to have. I would put it more so on a main character just to have it. But again, this is one I think you could skip if you're just already going out there and doing all your daily quests every day. So, and what is a daily quest? That could be a whole wide plethora of things. It could be pledges, Mages Guild, Fighters Guild. It could be Delve, world bosses. It could be Cyrodiil town quest. It could be scout missions. It could be conquest missions. So pretty much a wide variety of things are going to drop leads, or scripts rather, excuse me. So you don't really need to worry about buying all of them, but I just generally buy the ones that I think I might need on a character, just in case, I end up needing it before I get it on that character. And then if you get a duplicate, you just sell it for 1,000 gold, and that's pretty good too. And finally, we're inside the Imperial Ciy, inside of our Lambient Passage. You can check out ESO help here if you're ever confused on more information about where you need to go for these bad mamma-jammas. That way these videos don't become too long, because I already have just certified yapping throughout these bad boys anyway. And we start with 2 PvP sets. PvP just meaning that that's where they come from. So the first one is Snake in the Stars. Applying a major or minor buff to an enemy applies star venom to them for 4 seconds. This effect can occur once every 12 seconds. Whenever an enemy with star venom is healed, they take 1310 oblivion damage, and up to every 0.1 second, an enemy can only be affected by 1 instance of star venom, though, every 12 seconds. This set is almost good. I'm a huge fan of oblivion damage, just because, I think it's a really good way to take out some chunky people. The problem is that if you were to math out how much damage you're doing, over a period of time, it's like a couple thousand at max. And that's just not good for a proc set. And you rely on something else to occur. So if you're in a big cinematic CGI fight in Cyrodiil, Skybeam coming down, you know, a random CGI army popping out, you know, the Dominion, obviously, because they're not real people, you're going to want to hit them with a good proc set. And yes, people will be healing them pretty frequently because there's going to be healing things going around. But I would rather you focus on proc sets that you can control. Like when you do this, this happens, not when they do that, then that happens. So overall, I would give this set a 7. I think it's good. You could certainly use a set like this. It certainly has utilization, but there's 8, 9s, and 10s PvP sets out there that are just infinitely better than this one, unfortunately. So that's what I would have to give it. And then you have Wizard Repose, which similar problem. You have max health, weapon and spell, magicka recovery, crit resistance, which is just all over the place for what build wants to even have that as a 2 through 5. But then when you take critical damage, a direct critical damage, you apply minor and veneration to the enemy for 5 seconds, reducing their critical damage done by 10%. I mean, this set is just all over the place. This set is, I'm gonna give this set, I want to give it a 5, but I feel like that might be too harsh because you are getting 660 crit resistance. So then in theory you could build and have, no, I'm gonna give this set a 5. When people say, Jake, what's an average set? This is an average set. It's got so much random nonsense going on that nobody's going to use it for anything specific. This is a 5. Yes, the crit resistance is nice, but there are plenty of sets that give you things like a lot of health, a lot of magicka recovery. Those things are nice too, but that doesn't necessarily make it good. And minor and veneration is also not a unique buff. You can already do that in other ways. So you're wasting a 5-piece set to get 660 crit resistance, essentially, and a minor buff that's not very good. So yeah, this is a 5. And people are always like, Jake, what's a 5? This is a 5. I was so excited when I saw this lead because I know that there's some really annoying Steam Guard leads, but unfortunately, this one just comes from public dungeon bosses in Hrothgar. It's not the one that drops, unfortunately, from the trial boss. That one is always really good to pick up if you don't have it. If you've never seen this Mythic before, it's definitely one that I think you want to own if you're a support character, specifically a tank, because it has to do with bracing and damage reduction and all that good stuff in that regard. But unfortunately, it's not a lead that you really need to really struggle with. Just go out there and complete public dungeon. Next up is actually a decent lead that you may want to skip. The problem is most people don't use this Mythic, so it's the Torque of Tonal Constancy. It's the Torque Strand of Song. Now, this one comes from Blackheart Haven, which is, you know, it's a dungeon. So you got to go through the whole dungeon to get a chance to drop this lead. Those are notoriously my least favorite leads to get because you got to roll the whole dungeon to get. And this Mythic is fine. While your stamina is low, you get mag recovery. While your magicka is low, you get stam recovery. Yes, there's plenty of people that could use a Mythic like that. To me, it just loses out on the fact that there's so many good recovery sets. You've got Wretched Vitality and Roxas, notably, so you get a good 5-piece and a good monster set. So you don't really need to use the Torque to get recoveries. And if you did need to get more magicka and stamina and even health, you're just going to run Death Dealer's Feet. So why use a Mythic like this is the problem. There are certainly people who might, you know, find a way to use this, you know, like the Jurassic Park, they say, you know, life finds a way. There are people who definitely use this Mythic, but I don't think you really need to have it for majority of players. Now, a lot of people like the Roost treasure maps because of the ability to get starter sets. But I just want to point out that the Roost treasure maps are not as valuable as people may think, you know, in the comment section. So I think this one is still a skip, even though it's more popular than, you know, most others, like, you know, early game treasure maps might be. The loot pool is just too low, even though there are some decent items. And then we have our sets that we talked about earlier. These are just the ring versions. Then we ironically have in veneration. Here you guys go. You know, if you want to have a terrible minor debuff, boom, there it's right here for you. And disease damage and fencer's parry. None of these are worth the Telvar. None of them are essential. Don't worry about them. And refinish on a fragment. Now, fragments notoriously are usually really hard or really easy. This one comes from Hergarth. Hergor the Fallen, and I believe that this is just a delve, so don't buy that. What are fragments compared to leads? They have a 100% drop rate, so don't spend 5,000 Telvar to do something that will take you 30 seconds. Even though 5,000 Telvar to some people is not a lot of money, don't do that. So the TLDR is interesting on this one because I'm a huge fan of Kjolnirs. I think that's a fantastic monster stat style to own for yourself. Heavy armor is also very good to roll for companions, but that's really about it. I mean, Yes, so you could probably pick up a lot of the Scholarium items. I think they're always just good pickups. If you don't have them, you're buying it with gold. If you get them again on a duplicate, especially if you don't have a lot of play time, like sometimes I don't have a lot of time to play ESO. So if you only are playing on a limited budget, not doing a lot of daily quests, I just buy them all. And then duplicates you just resell to any merchant in the game. But those are the two things that I would really consider this weekend. But thank you guys so much again for watching. As always, we're doing our 3 giveaway drawings. All you need to do to enter is leave a comment and a like on the video. Second thing is just make sure you're subscribed. And the third thing is look for the word at the beginning of the video, because every single video for the month of June has a giveaway code on it. Meaning that if you're the first person to watch these videos with notifications on, a lot of you guys will be getting the premium content passes. So many people have gotten them so far that we're running into the problem where duplicate people can win. So literally just turn on the notifications. You can turn it off in July, I pinky promise. But thank you guys for all the support on the recent videos. I'll pretend it's due to my personality and not giving away the premium content pass, which includes all the previous chapters as well. Also too, as a reminder, if you're interested, we did talk about the High Isle lead specific Oaken Soul, which if you had High Isle chapter, you could purchase, but you're going to run into a bit of a problem if you don't have the Murkmire expansion. Maybe that's something you're interested in, maybe it isn't. I'm actually curious in the comments below what you guys think about that, because more of you own chapters than DLCs, so please comment that below, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye, guys.
You better remember to like and subscribe to Jakeclips. Or you should. I might have to pluck your eyes if you don't. Or, better yet, I'll skip rope with your entrails. Do it now. Subscribe. Ta-ta. Off with you.